What's going on, guys? I'm Andrew,
I'm Jason.
and this is Movie Source
Today we're going to be reviewing Independence Day.
Resurgence. Alright, so Independence Day Resurgence is being directed again by Roland Emmerich. He did direct the first Independence Day that came out in 1996. This is very rare for a sequel to come out so much later, 20 years later, but it is here. And they had been talking about this film for so many years, and I'd been following it because I was a huge fan of the first film with Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum. So I was very curious to see if they were ever going to come back with it, and I was very happy when they announced they were officially coming back. One thing that obviously did bother me, not going into the film, but just when they announced that they were coming back, is that Will Smith was not coming back, because I really liked, not only his presence and how funny and his charisma he was, that he had in the first film, but I loved the chemistry he had with Jeff Goldblum, so I knew that was something I was really going to miss, and also his presence, and I gotta say, that was something that was really missing in this film. Again, we're going to go into other things, but one of the things I didn't enjoy in this film is obviously not having Will Smith, but it's not their fault, the filmmakers, because I understand they didn't want to pay him a lot, the amount of money he was asking for. But just from the film perspective and a story perspective, I really missed his presence. I missed the chemistry between him and Jeff Goldblum. I liked Liam Hemsworth, but the kid who played his son, he was okay, nothing special. But the young kids and the new actors, I just didn't care for them as much as I cared for the old characters in the previous film.
Yeah, I think you're right. Will Smith was definitely missing big time in this film. Not just, like you said, because his character wasn't there, but this movie, I feel like, was just so bland. Like, there wasn't that many highs, there wasn't that many lows. It was just kind of like, oh, this was okay, and this wasn't that bad, but it wasn't that good. Will Smith would have added a lot more dynamic to the movie, a lot more charisma, a lot more character, like you said, with Jeff Goldblum and all the other characters in this movie. This movie wasn't bad, but it just wasn't anything that special. There was no... Aside from maybe the end, which I thought was better than I thought it was going to be, the movie is not very dynamic at all. It just kind of stays, and it doesn't really hit many highs or lows. It's just kind of whatever.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Some other problems I had with the film were the script. It was not very good. A lot of the comedic jokes, they personally fell flat for me.
I don't know. I thought maybe not
some of them were okay.
Not necessarily the jokes, but some parts of this movie I just was laughing.
All right, let's put it this way. I thought the tone of the comedic tone and the serious tone. I thought the first film, I just thought it did such a better job of balancing out the two tones and really evening it out. And making a cohesive, not a cohesive story, but more of a cohesive film. And in this, it just was all over the place, tonally wise. It was trying to be funny. It was trying to be serious. It was just all over the place.
I agree it was all over the place, but when it was funny, I thought it worked.
There were a couple of jokes,
because
for sure.
Everything else was just so bland that when there actually was funniness, I was like, oh, okay, good humor. I like it.
Jeff Goldblum and Brent Spiner got the got the majority of the jokes. But just again, it just
Actually, no, I thought Judd Hirsch was the funniest in the whole movie.
Yeah, no, you're right. He definitely had some funny ones too, and they really wanted to, again, put it down your throat that he's Jewish in the film. So I thought that was very interesting again. But like you said, it was nice to see a few older characters back. I didn't like how they handled some of the older characters. We'll get into that when we get into the spoiler portion. But I did like some of the homages they paid for the first film. And obviously, we got some of the David Arnold music. I didn't really notice it throughout the film, his score, but I did in the end credits. You really hear this. I believe it's the exact same end credits score that he had for the first Independence Day, so that was pretty cool. But just score in general, I don't know. I got to watch the film maybe a couple more times, but the David Arnold score from the first Independence Day, it is amazing. It's one of my favorite scores ever, actually. So, I don't know, I just didn't feel it as much this, but like I said, I gotta watch the film a couple more times just to see if I feel that score again, but because I was just trying to pay attention, again, get into all the tonal things that were going on, and all the CGI being thrown in my face, so that's another thing,
There were a few green screen moments where it was clearly just them standing in front of a green screen, and this is the movies, that's what it is, but when it really looks like it doesn't really hit very well.
Yeah, no, and again, just really quick, and I know we keep comparing to the first Independence Day, but it's called Independence Day Resurgence. What we do, we got to compare it. We talked about in our first review, which you can find here. for Independence Day 1, the first Independence Day. We talked about how some of the CGI, it was a little outdated, but still, it was good 90s CGI that you feel like, hey, I don't care.
For what it was,
For what it was, it looks good. This, it's a CGI, it's just all over the place.
There were some scenes that did look really good.
There's a couple that were good, but just again, it's just a CGI.
And I thought the aliens looked pretty good. But it was, for me, it was mostly like all the ships and that CGI I thought was good. You know, normal for today's standards. What I thought was bad were some of the green screen moments where you see them like standing out in front of a big crowd, and it's obviously not people. It's It's a CGI green screen.
Yeah, no, I'm not complaining about that. I'm complaining more about relying on CGI rather than more of a cohesive story and characters we care about. It's just I felt there was more just relying on the CGI rather than these characters.
That's the problem with movies in general today, is that they spend so much time and effort on the CGI making it look great that they forget to make a good movie and a good story.
No, you have a great point, but watching the first Independence Day, especially many times in the last few days, that movie, you care so much about the characters. Yes, they do rely a little bit on the CGI, but they rely more on the characters in that film and fleshing out the characters' arcs in the film. This film, it just doesn't feel that they care more about the CGI than the characters. At least that's how I felt. Like, I didn't care about a lot of the characters in this film, and that's a big issue for me, especially on an Independence Day film. I love just about all the characters we got in the first film. I didn't care for what's his name? Russell K's Randy Quaid. I didn't care about his kids for the most part. I love the sacrifice of the character from the first film, but like I said, I care about most of the characters from the first film. This film, maybe one or two characters I cared for. I just didn't care if they died or what happened. I
did really like that African warlord, though. I thought he was badass.
Yeah, no, he was. I
sick.
did enjoy that character for sure.
All right, so in this portion of the review, we are going to be talking about spoilers, so click right here if you don't want to see any spoilers or if you haven't seen this movie yet.
So getting into spoilers, obviously we saw that Bill Pullman died. I like the sacrificial death. It's just, I don't know what it was. Maybe it's me. I love Bill Pullman's. I love President Whitmore. He's amazing. That speech in the first one, he's one of my favorite characters in Independence Day. For some reason, it was I really was a sacrificial death, and he felt like a hero to me, but I just didn't feel anything emotionally. I don't know if maybe it was the film or what happened, but I just didn't feel anything when he died. I didn't feel a lot of sadness in myself. Yeah. Maybe I'm a jerk or something. I don't know, but
no, I agree. The buildup wasn't quite there for me. What it was it's not what ruined it, but Bill Pullman died, but it wasn't actually what killed the Queen at the end, which I actually thought was a good part of the movie. I didn't want her to go down so easily, but I was kind of hoping or wishing that when Bill Pullman did die, it was when they actually took her down for the final time.
Yeah, so you're saying take out the shield first without Bill Pullman sacrificing himself. Then when he ultimately sacrifices himself, that's when the Queen does
That's kind of what I wish.
I think I agree with you. I didn't think about that, but that would have been better.
I was happy in the movie that wasn't the end, but I do wish that, like I said before, that when he did die, it was at the very end.
You make an interesting point. I thought also the way they handled, what's Vivica Fox's character's name?
I don't know.
Jasmine?
Jasmine. Will Smith's wife.
Jasmine. Jasmine.
Who's now a doctor, not a stripper.
She's not a stripper.
Hey, but it's been 20 years. A lot can happen.
Yeah, she's now a nurse. I believe she's a nurse, right? She's now a nurse, and I had no problem with them killing off the character. It's just, again, the way they did it, I just felt there was no emotional build-up to it. Yes, she's a familiar character to us from the first film, but there was no emotional build-up. There was no...
I just think it was supposed to be in that moment for Dylan, when he sees his mom dying, but then he gives a pretty, at least I think, a weak performance in that moment where he's just like, no, there's like no emotion in his voice when he sees his mom falling to her death. But I didn't care that they killed her off in that way, but there really was no build-up, and the way that Dylan sold it wasn't there for me either.
Again, the point I'm making, when these characters die, I want to feel something because I care about them. I cared about these characters in the first film, Bill Pullman, President Whitmore, and Jasmine. I really cared about them. I felt nothing when they died, and that is a shame because I should feel something when they die. I want to care about these characters.
Speaking of not caring, the way that they just kind of one-off mentioned how Will Smith died in a test run of some pilot mission, I thought was really weak. At least give him some sort of epic death, and then just show his picture for 1 second. I thought that was really weak. This almost is like a side note. Maybe they're pissed that he didn't want to join the movie, but I thought they were going to actually, give some story as to how he died.
No,
nothing.
You could be right. I agree with you. It was a little weak. I'm not going to go more into it because you laid it all out right there. I thought it was really cool at the very, literally one of the first shots in the film We see Russell K on the. I mean, we see a bunch of names, but you see right in the center is Russell K. Another issue I did have with this film, it started off so slow. If you again, I'm not saying it has to copy the first film, but if you rewatch the first film, we literally see the aliens coming down, and like the guys within 5 minutes of the film, the aliens are coming down. With this film, I checked my watch. I believe we were 40 to 45 minutes in. By the time the aliens started doing their thing where they were like they were cloaking themselves in that mothership, was it the mothership? Right?
Yeah.
They were cloaking themselves. It was a great cool. I loved that how they did that. It was really neat. But why do we have to wait 45 minutes? I was so bored. And again, also if you remember in the first film, we had to be introduced to so many characters while so many things were while the aliens were coming down. So I don't. Again, I'm not saying copy, but within.
Well, no. In the beginning of this movie, they were introducing characters like Liam Hemsworth's character and his friend and the girl and all that. But it just kind of, like you said, it was slow.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, you can introduce these characters while the aliens are coming. We don't need to have the slow build up because we know what's going to happen.
They were talking about like that circle with the drawing thing, and then they went to Africa and all that.
But that should have been sped up a little more. It just took. I mean, again, that whole circle thing and all that took like 25, 30 minutes to get through. Get through a little bit quicker than that. So, I don't know, just my opinion.
I do want to say the final scene of this movie, not the greatest, but I think it was the best part of the whole movie. Like when when you think they destroy the mothership, but then she busts out of there, and then she's in this giant suit thing, and all that.
It was entertaining.
It was definitely entertaining, and I think boosted the movie up a little bit for me. I mean, all the characters in this movie kind of come together at the end, and it's a cool moment. Nothing super special, but I just thought it was pretty good.
No, I feel you. I just, again, me personally, I just feel the first film, when the characters all come together, I just felt
it's a better moment.
It just felt more organic, too. This just felt a little more forced to me, just my opinion. Also, I thought the whole Judd Hirsch with the little kid, again, it's nice to see Judd Hirsch being
it's funny. I mean, it
is, but
relief.
It just,
it's comedic relief.
It just felt unnecessary.
It's just kind of like this movie, like, it's cool that it's here, but it really wasn't necessary to make. It was
especially without Will Smith. Very unnecessary. If Will Smith would have been back, I'm telling you, my amp level, I'm sure everyone's amp level would have been 20 times.
He just would have carried the movie a lot better. This movie didn't really have any standout characters.
Zero. I agree. All right, so getting into the score of this film, I thought it was okay. It was decently directed. I thought the script was not very good. I thought the actors' performances were okay. It was nice to see some of the old actors from the first film come back. That was great to see. The visual effects and the action scenes I thought were pretty entertaining, especially the last scene, as you pointed out. Sometimes the CGI, again, they were relying a little too much on the CGI instead of the characters, which I would prefer they would more rely on. I thought the tonal balance was not very good. I thought it was all over the place from the comedy to the seriousness. I thought they could have done a much better job balancing it out, which would have made me a happy camper. I'm going to give this movie a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I agree. This movie is just kind of very bland for me. There's no real standout characters. There's not very many standout scenes. A couple of the comedic moments I was laughing at, but it's more because nothing else is really doing it for me that I was like, oh, a comedic moment. I thought that was cool. But in general, like you said, the acting was fine, but the script was not helping them out at all. The performances weren't too weak, but not too great either. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 as well. Alright guys, well that's going to do it for this video. Let us know what you thought about this movie in the comments section, and if you like these videos, you can hit the subscribe button.
See you guys next time.